Exactly 11:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. Emily almost ignored it. Her husband was asleep upstairs. Rain slammed against the windows. Thunder shook the entire house. The bell rang again. Slow, heavy. Emily opened the door and froze. A bouquet of white roses sat on the porch. No delivery driver, no footsteps, only a black envelope moving in the wind. Her hands immediately started shaking because she already knew what the note would say. For the girl who waited at the station, the same sentence, every year, for 15 years. But tonight, there was a second line. I'm finally coming back. Emily stopped breathing because the man who sent the flowers was dead. 15 years earlier, Emily met Daniel during a snowstorm at a train station in Chicago. She was 19, sitting alone on a freezing bench after learning her father had died. She was crying quietly when a stranger sat beside her. You look like someone trying very hard not to fall apart, he said softly. Emily laughed through tears. That stranger was Daniel. He wrapped his scarf around her shoulders and stayed with her the entire night while the storm trapped everyone inside the station. They talked for hours about dreams, music, fear, childhood memories. And somehow, Emily felt safer with him than with people she had known her whole life. For the first time after her father's death, she forgot to feel broken. Before sunrise, Daniel folded a tiny paper flower from his train ticket and placed it in her hand. If life were kinder, he whispered, I think I would have loved you forever. Then he boarded his train and disappeared. Emily never saw him again. 3 months later, she accidentally found his obituary online. Car accident. Dead at 24. Emily remembered staring at the screen, unable to breathe. Because somehow, in one single night, she had fallen deeply in love with him. Years passed. Emily married a kind man named Michael. They built a peaceful life together and had a daughter. But every year, on the exact same date, flowers arrived. Always white roses, always anonymous, always with strange notes. You still hate thunderstorms. You still drink coffee too late at night. You kept the paper flower. Things nobody should know. Emily became obsessed with discovering who sent them. She hired investigators, tracked florists, checked cameras. Nothing. Nobody ever found the sender. It was like the flowers appeared from nowhere. At first, Michael tried to laugh about it. Maybe someone has a crush on my wife, he joked. But over time, the mystery slowly damaged their marriage. Because every year after receiving the flowers, Emily cried. And deep inside, part of her wondered if Daniel had somehow survived. Back in the present, Emily stood frozen in the doorway, holding the bouquet while thunder exploded outside. Then, suddenly, knock. Not the front door, her bedroom window upstairs. Emily's blood turned cold. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Please don't be afraid. It's me. Emily slowly stepped outside into the storm. Rain soaked her instantly. Lightning flashed across the street. And a man stood under the broken street lamp. Gray coat, dark eyes. Daniel. Alive. Emily couldn't breathe. No, she whispered. No, this isn't possible. Daniel looked older now, thinner, exhausted. But it was him. You died, Emily said, tears pouring down her face. Daniel lowered his eyes. The accident was real, he said quietly, but I survived. Emily stood there frozen while rain poured around them. Daniel explained everything. After the crash, he suffered severe injuries and memory problems. His wealthy father secretly moved him overseas during recovery to hide the scandal from the media and business partners. For years, Daniel struggled to remember his old life. But when his memories finally returned, he searched for Emily, only to discover she was already married, happy, with a family. So I stayed away, he whispered. Emily's voice shook. The flowers. Daniel nodded slowly. I just wanted you to know someone in this world never forgot you. Emily burst into tears. 15 years, 15 birthdays, 15 winters, wondering if she imagined that one magical night. And now he stood in front of her. Real. Alive. Broken. Why come back now? Emily whispered. Daniel looked at her silently for several seconds. Then he smiled sadly. Because I'm dying. Emily felt the world collapse beneath her feet. Doctors had found late-stage cancer only months earlier. He didn't have much time left. I didn't come to ruin your life, he said softly. I only needed to see you one last time. Emily cried uncontrollably. Part of her wanted to hug him forever. Part of her hated him for disappearing. Part of her wished she had never opened the door that night. Daniel reached slowly into his pocket and removed a tiny paper flower folded from an old train ticket. Exactly like the first one. Emily covered her mouth, crying. You kept making them, she whispered. Daniel smiled weakly. Every year. Then he stepped closer and gently placed the flower into her trembling hand. For the girl who waited at the station, he whispered. And before Emily could stop him, Daniel turned and walked away into the rain. 3 weeks later, another bouquet arrived. Emily's hands shook as she opened the note. If you're reading this, I already said goodbye. Tears filled her eyes. Daniel had arranged flowers to arrive every year after his death, for the next 20 years, so she would never feel forgotten again. Emily sat on the floor crying while thunder echoed outside. Because sometimes people meet too late. Sometimes life destroys perfect timing. But some loves, even unfinished ones, never truly disappear.